I think if she truly was like, I'm out of here, I'm starting my own league, she'd have people lining up, including myself, and she would put the WNBA out of business.
Players should be on their knees, thanking their lucky stars. That's the shocking statement the WNBA commissioner allegedly told one of her own star players, a comment that has ignited a civil war within women's basketball. This wasn't just an insult, it was the spark that led to the most audacious proposal in sports history, a $100 million offer for Caitlin Clark to quit the WNBA and start her own league. This isn't just about money or respect anymore. This is a full-blown crisis, a high-stakes power play that could end with the complete and utter destruction of the WNBA as we know it. And the fuse has already been lit.
Listen.
You said you'd partner with her and give her $100 million. That's the biggest offer that she's gotten. So
if she would have let me be her agent, I would have in a second. And if she's like, I'll start a new league with you, I would get her whatever you want.
The entire crisis began not with a tweet or a hot take, but from the mouth of one of the league's own stars in the usually mundane setting of a season-ending exit interview. But this was no ordinary interview. Napheesa Collier, the Minnesota Lynx forward and critically the vice president of the WNBA Players Association, came prepared. In a move of calculated detonation, she read from a prepared 4-minute statement that was nothing short of a declaration of war on the league's leadership. She didn't just voice frustration, she detailed a private conversation that would become the spark for a full-blown inferno. This act of shocking candor, speaking truth to power in such a public forum, put her entire career on the line, but in doing so, it exposed a deep and troubling disconnect between the commissioner's office and the players on the court, revealing a truth many felt was long overdue.
If Caitlin Clark said, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home and I'm starting my own league, the WNBA would be done in 2 seconds.
At the very core of Collier's bombshell revelation were comments she attributed directly to WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, comments that centered on the league's most valuable asset, Caitlin Clark. According to Collier, when she dared to raise the issue of Clark's laughably low rookie salary in the face of the massive revenue she was generating, Engelbert's response was not one of understanding or partnership, but of stunning dismissiveness. Collier alleged that the commissioner stated Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. This single alleged quote was devastating. It painted a picture of a leader who saw the league's most transformative player not as an asset to be cherished or a partner to be valued, but as a subordinate employee who should simply be thankful for the opportunity to exist on the league's stage.
Listen.
You said you'd partner with her and give her $100 million. That's the biggest offer that she's gotten. So
if she would have let me be her agent, I would have in a second. And if she's like, I'll start a new league with you, I would get her whatever you want.
The alleged condescension didn't stop with Caitlin Clark. Collier went on to claim that in the very same conversation, Commissioner Engelbert broadened her dismissive tone to include every single player in the league. As Collier recounted with a palpable sense of disbelief, the commissioner told her, in no uncertain terms, that players should be on their knees, thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. The phrase on their knees is loaded with connotations of subservience and disrespect, and it landed like a grenade in the locker rooms across the league. This statement, if true, was a slap in the face to every athlete in the WNBA. It suggested that their hard work, their world-class talent, and their personal sacrifices were secondary to the deals being made in the boardroom, and that they should show deference rather than demand fair compensation. It revealed a fundamental philosophical divide, the league viewing its players as employees, and the players viewing themselves as the product itself.
I didn't hear no lies in that. I heard no lies. I just got to keep it real. He kept it 100.
The fallout from Collier's interview was immediate, ferocious, and volcanic. The basketball world erupted. It was a dam breaking after years of pressure building up. Fans, journalists, and, most importantly, other players rallied behind Collier, validating her claims and sharing their own stories of frustration with the league's leadership. The phrase "worst leadership in the world," which Collier had used to describe the front office, became a viral rallying cry. The support from Caitlin Clark herself, along with her Indiana Fever teammate Sophie Cunningham, was particularly significant. By calling it an important moment for the league, Clark showed a united front with her fellow players. This wasn't just a fleeting social media moment, it was the visible evidence of a deep-seated rebellion brewing within the WNBA, a chorus of dissent aimed squarely at the top.
And in that same conversation, she told me, players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us.
Facing a full-scale mutiny, and with the hashtag #FireKathyEngelbert trending globally, Commissioner Engelbert held a tense press conference ahead of the WNBA Finals to perform damage control. She flatly and unequivocally denied making the alleged comments about Caitlin Clark. "Obviously, I did not make those comments," Engelbert stated, attempting to pivot by praising Clark as a transformational player who has brought tens of millions of new fans to the game. While she acknowledged being disheartened that players felt unheard and admitted the league needed to do better, her denial was surgically precise. She did not explicitly deny the "on their knees" comment, leaving a cloud of ambiguity that did little to quell the outrage. Her performance was a classic PR crisis management attempt that ultimately failed to satisfy anyone, creating a vacuum of trust and leaving the league even more fractured by distrust.
Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything.
While the commissioner and players were locked in a war of words, an undeniable and objective truth was being written in black and white on spreadsheets, ticket stubs, and ratings charts across the country. The Caitlin Clark effect. Her impact on the WNBA wasn't just significant, it was revolutionary. According to one respected financial expert, Clark was directly responsible for a staggering 26.5% of the WNBA's total economic activity in the 2024 season. TV viewership for the league didn't just rise, it tripled. Games on major networks averaged 1.32 million viewers, a number that would have been considered a fantasy just a year prior, when the average was a mere 462,000. The league, which had gone 16 long years without a single regular season game drawing 1 million viewers, suddenly had 12 in one season, and 11 of them featured Caitlin Clark.
I mean, last season was insane, and you can look at the ratings too. And I think there was, like, the fevered numbers actually were better than some NBA teams' numbers when it came to viewership last season.
The raw numbers tell the story of a league utterly transformed, a business reborn by the arrival of a single transcendent star. Attendance across the league surged by an incredible 156%, with arenas once dotted with empty seats now filled to 94% capacity. The Indiana Fever, Clark's team, a franchise that had been a relative afterthought, shattered the WNBA's all-time single-season attendance record, drawing over 340,000 fans to their home games alone. The appetite for anything Clark-related was insatiable. League-wide merchandise sales skyrocketed by an unbelievable 756%, setting a new all-time record before the season was even over. The contrast was stark, and irrefutable games featuring Caitlin Clark averaged nearly 1.2 million viewers, while games without her averaged just 394,000, a 199% difference. It was crystal clear Caitlin Clark wasn't just a part of the WNBA's growth. She was the growth.
80s, for example, when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird took the NBA by storm and they were winning championships, competing for championships, but then this dude named Michael Jordan came along. And Michael Jordan came along and he wasn't yet winning championships, but his popularity was so astronomical that the NBA practically marketed everything they could around this guy. So to know that there's an example like that as a shining example to be followed that could benefit the league, particularly down the road, why is that an issue when we've seen that such a marketing plan has worked in the past?
With this unprecedented explosive growth, a critical and uncomfortable question emerged. Was the WNBA's leadership capable of managing this golden goose, or were they fumbling it? Critics relentlessly pointed to the NBA's history of building its global brand on the backs of singular talents like Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and argued the WNBA was failing to do the same for Clark. The decision to leave Clark off the U.S. Olympic team was widely seen as a colossal marketing blunder, a move that prioritized veteran politics over the once-in-a-generation chance to showcase its biggest star on a global stage. other perceived fumbles, from the league's initial unpreparedness for her security needs to the infamous moment fans had to watch Angel Reese's debut via a cell phone livestream, fueled the narrative of a front office that was simply not ready for the tidal wave of interest Clark had created. They seemed to be perpetually one step behind the phenomenon they had on their hands.
But for some reason, they want to alienate her. It's like they want her to suffer coming in. You just never seen anything like it, where the commissioner doesn't seem to value the stars or the golden goose. So
watching this internal chaos and perceived incompetence from the sidelines with growing frustration was Dave Portnoy, the Barstool Sports founder. A newly converted but fiercely loyal Caitlin Clark fan, has never been one to mince words or shy away from a fight. He saw the WNBA's handling of its biggest asset as nothing short of insanity, and believed the league was actively trying to kill the golden goose. As a savvy and ruthless businessman who built a niche Boston newspaper into a media empire valued in the hundreds of millions, Portnoy recognized not just the cultural phenomenon of Caitlin Clark, but the massive, untapped financial opportunity she represented, an opportunity he felt the WNBA was criminally squandering through arrogance and ineptitude.
I think if she truly was like, I'm out of here, I'm starting my own league, she'd have people lining up, including myself, and she would put the WNBA out of business. I really do believe that. I think she's that powerful for the whole league. And pay the others. Like, money talks. Like, if you get the money lined up and you get the superstars, like, oh, you can only make $1 million here, you can make $5 million with our league, I think it would work.
Tired of yelling from the sidelines, Portnoy decided to move from critic to catalyst. He went public with a shocking and audacious offer, a proposal designed to disrupt the entire ecosystem of women's sports. He would personally invest $100 million for Caitlin Clark to leave the WNBA and start her own league. If she's like, I'll start a new league with you, I would get her whatever you want, he declared on live television. This wasn't just a fleeting comment or a publicity stunt, it was a direct challenge to the WNBA's authority and a tangible lifeline to a player he felt was being fundamentally disrespected. Portnoy was utterly convinced that a league built around Clark could not only survive, but would swiftly put the WNBA out of business.
Dave, right now amongst the billionaire class, sports seem to be like the next big investment wave, right? Especially with all other entertainment kind of going AI. Like, this is going to be where human beings are still telling stories on the field, on the court, where everybody wants to put in their money.
This was far more than a rich fan's fantasy. It was a hostile takeover bid with a surprisingly detailed blueprint. Portnoy laid out a clear business rationale for his proposal, making it clear this was a serious venture. He explained that his initial $100 million was just the seed money, confidently stating he could easily line up a consortium of other billionaires to pour even more capital into the new venture. His vision was simple, ruthless, and star-driven. Give the fans exactly what they want. Put Caitlin Clark in the best games, on the best networks, and market her relentlessly. And critically, use the massive war chest to poach the WNBA's other superstars. Money talks, he said. If you get the money lined up and you get the superstars, I think it would work.
I could make far more revenue, and I 100% believe this, for the WNBA, for Caitlin individually.
It is absolutely crucial to understand that Portnoy's offer is rooted in a sharp, cold business acumen, not just fandom. His entire career is built on identifying market inefficiencies, and he sees the WNBA as a prime example. He views it as a massively popular product being grossly mismanaged, and therefore systemically undervalued. His offer is an act of arbitrage, an attempt to acquire control of a massive cultural asset for a fraction of its true potential worth. His vision isn't just about a new league, it's about completely recalibrating the entire financial model of women's professional sports, and he believes Caitlin Clark is the fulcrum upon which he can move that world.
The worst negotiated deal I've ever seen in my life. That Nike got away with murder with what they paid her. So you just aren't valuing it. Anybody could sell that. That's like, is Roger Goodell really responsible for all these great NFL deals? Or is it the NFL can play with scab players on strike and still fill up seats? Like, you don't have to be, when the product is there and it's talked about and people are watching,
In the midst of this raging firestorm, Caitlin Clark has played her part with the masterful poise of a seasoned diplomat. She has not, even once, directly responded to Portnoy's $100 million offer. Instead, she has walked a public tightrope with incredible skill, showing unwavering support for her fellow players while maintaining a professional loyalty to the Indiana Fever and the WNBA. Portnoy himself acknowledged this, comparing her media savvy to Tom Brady's, noting she rarely says anything controversial. This calculated silence is her most powerful weapon. By saying nothing, she allows the pressure on the WNBA to mount to unbearable levels. She is forcing the league to negotiate against a ghost, all while Portnoy's very public offer sets an impossible-to-ignore anchor price for her loyalty.
You don't think Caitlin Clark could line up billionaire investors and start and just get all these players to come with her if they're going to pay a lot more?
The entire controversy, the anger, the leverage, it's all underscored by one simple, glaring, and frankly embarrassing fact: Caitlin Clark's WNBA salary. Her 4-year rookie contract is for a total of just $338,056, which means she earned just over $76,000 in her first year. This figure is almost comically low, given that she is single-handedly driving tens of millions of dollars in new revenue directly into the league's coffers. The root of the problem lies in the league's collective bargaining agreement, which dictates that while NBA players receive roughly 50% of league revenue, WNBA players receive less than 10%. This massive disparity is the fundamental weakness in the WNBA's position, and it provides a perfectly legitimate reason for Clark to entertain an offer that would value her closer to what she is actually worth.
I don't think she'll ever do that. Like, I talk with her never about that stuff, but based on she has State Farm, Nike, Gatorade, those are like blue blood. She never runs a Tom Brady in a way. Like, very rarely, if ever, publicly says anything that like should cause any waves. She's kind of like been a good trooper for the Fever and the league. So I think she wants to make the WNBA work.
The argument that Clark is being undervalued extends even to her historic record-breaking endorsement deals. She signed a landmark 8-year, $28 million contract with Nike, the most lucrative sponsorship deal in the history of women's basketball. Yet, critics like Portnoy immediately attacked it as a colossal bargain for Nike. He bluntly stated that the company got away with murder with what they paid her. To put it in perspective, Zion Williamson signed a 5-year, $75 million deal with Jordan Brand before he had ever played a single NBA game. An insider even predicted that when Clark's signature shoe finally drops in 2026, it could become a $150 million business on its own, rivaling the top signature franchises of male athletes. This reinforces the powerful idea that every aspect of Clark's financial life is being artificially constrained by the WNBA's current ecosystem. Caitlin Clark now stands at a monumental crossroads, and the path she chooses will not only define her legacy, but will shape the future of women's sports for a generation to come. She faces two distinct futures. Path 1 is that of the loyalist, the hero who stays and fights to reform the system from the inside, becoming a modern-day Billie Jean King and lifting all players up with her. The risk is that the system is too broken to fix, and her prime years are wasted in a fruitless battle. Path 2 is that of the revolutionary, the trailblazer, who burns the old system down to build something new, better, and more equitable in its place. The risk here is immense. Failure could set women's basketball back for years. The weight of a generation's worth of progress and potential rests squarely on her shoulders. The threat of Caitlin Clark leaving is not a negotiating tactic. It is an existential threat to the WNBA. If she were to accept Portnoy's offer and walk away, the consequences would be swift and catastrophic. The record-breaking TV ratings, the sold-out arenas, and the massive spike in merchandise sales would likely vanish overnight. The new lucrative media rights deal the league is desperately banking on would implode. Key sponsors like State Farm, Gatorade, and Nike would face a difficult choice: stay with a league that has lost its luster or follow their star athlete to her new venture. Other star players from Angel Reese to Aja Wilson would inevitably be tempted by offers for 5 or 10 times their current salary. Loyalty has a price, and Portnoy is willing to pay it. Her departure could gut the league of its talent and bankrupt it, leaving it a hollowed-out shell of what it was on the verge of becoming. This is far more than a simple dispute between a player and a commissioner. It has evolved into a battle for control over the future of a multi-billion-dollar industry. On one side, you have an entrenched league, an old guard struggling to adapt to the arrival of a once-in-a-lifetime talent. On the other, you have a maverick businessman with a massive checkbook, offering a complete paradigm shift. And caught in the middle is Caitlin Clark, a young athlete who, in less than a year, has accumulated more power and leverage than any female athlete before her. Her next move will determine whether the WNBA successfully capitalizes on the most important moment in its history, or whether it becomes a cautionary tale of a golden opportunity, tragically fumbled. The game is on, and everyone is waiting for her to take the final, decisive shot.